Hello,
Hello,
I'm Cody
I'm Cody
Oshel,
Oshel,
engagement leader
engagement
at
leader at
Thrive.
Thrive.
I'm
I'm
excited to
excited to
excited that you
excited that
chose
you
to
chose
join
to
us
join us
tonight for
tonight
our
for our
Giving
Giving
Tuesday
Tuesday
celebration.
celebration.
Can't think of a better way to kick off the season of giving than with talking about barbecue and the lives that have been impacted by generosity and by just even one warm meal. We'll introduce OBR in a minute, but I just wanted to take a moment to introduce you to Thrivent if you're brand new to us. At Thrivent, we're a different kind of financial services organization. We believe that money is a tool to accomplish great things, to provide for our families along with the next generation, as well to make a difference in our local communities. For more than 120 years, no matter the economic climate or what was going on in the world, Thrivent has been helping people like you and like me achieve our goals with confidence. With financial advice, as well as a full range of investments, insurance, banking, and generosity offerings, Thrivent is here to provide you with the financial clarity that you need in today's fast changing world. But back to Giving Tuesday, the reason that we're all here tonight, outside of being here to learn about how we can amplify our game day experiences and our post turkey day dinners with family, Giving Tuesday is a global movement focused on giving back, making an impact. For me, I think of Giving Tuesday as it takes time to create pause. After Thanksgiving, after Black Friday, we find ourselves at Giving Tuesday creating pause so that we're able to think about ways that we're able to give back to make an impact. Thrivent has participated in Giving Tuesday since 2018 by rallying clients and the community members across the US to donate, celebrate, and participate in events supporting local nonprofits. In 2022, Thrivent's efforts, combined with 35 million people in the US, saw $3.1 billion in donations. The concept has also gone international with formally established movements in more than 85 countries. But tonight you're here to experience learning about Operation Barbecue Relief, to be able to be in the room with Chef Johnny. But I'm going to introduce you to Zach, who I'm going to leave you with. That's going to be your host, your MC, your source of fun, source of entertainment, and just all around good guy.
Thanks, Cody. He's setting the bar high there, so hopefully I can deliver. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. We're so glad you've joined us. It is a unique night. It is a unique day. I don't know about you, but before this year, I didn't really know Giving Tuesday was a thing. So this is my first Giving Tuesday. Sure, I knew about Cyber Monday and Black Friday and all that. But like many of you, maybe this is your first Giving Tuesday. Let me just tell you, you are a part of something right now that is so much bigger than you can imagine. Yes, even if we zoom it into Thrivent and Thrivent's impact nationally, which is huge, it's like Cody said, a global movement. Just to give you a glimpse of what I mean by it's bigger than you could think, just our online donations with Thrivent today, company-wide, nationwide, we're over $500,000 raised just online to this point today. That doesn't count checks that were donated in person that haven't been counted yet. So it's an amazing movement. And when we partnered with Operation Barbecue, we've been a partner with them since July. We did an event, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But one thing that's amazing is we got together and we thought, all right, what do we do here? Giving Tuesday, we have this match opportunity. We want to help you in everything that you do. We believe in what you do, so we want to help it. And we said, what if we could raise $60,000, which would unlock a $30,000 match from Thrivent, which would be a total of $90,000 of generosity enacted in our community, right? Well, guys, we have raised to this point 7:04 p.m. Central Standard Time 60. Well, let me refresh one more time. Let's refresh one more time. $63,800 have come in for OBR. So we have hit that goal. So you know what? Forget that goal. Let's keep going. Let's see how far we can go. Let's see how much of an impact we can make together with Operation Barbecue. And let me tell you, you won't regret it. These people are amazing. I have had the great privilege of getting to know their team. And I can't tell what's better, the team that helps make happen what they do or the actual work that they do. It's both incredible people and an incredible cause that you're going to hear more about in a second. So enough about me. Enough about that. Let's get to the main course. That was a pun intended, and it was a good one. I know you're laughing. we have a treat tonight. I've gotten to know this guy in the past few weeks, and to know him is to love him, and to meet him and to see him on a Zoom call is to know him. So therefore, get ready. We have someone who's been cooking since they were 13, is a 5th generation chef, is known for his innovative approach to barbecue. He's been the featured chef at the James Beard Foundation. He's been published in La Cocina, New York Magazine, the New York Times, just to name a few. And without further ado, please welcome Chef Johnny. Johnny, take it away.
Thank you, Zach. I want to thank everyone for joining us on this Giving Tuesday. And I have to start off with a shout out saying thank you to the team at Thrivent for this amazing opportunity for us to get to talk to you about Operation Barbecue Relief, what we do, and to join us for a very great evening. Tonight, we're coming to you live from our Operation Barbecue Relief ThermoWorks Test Kitchen in Tampa, Florida. Tonight, we're going to be making a few dishes. You may have some questions while we're cooking. Please use the chat function to ask any question that you have, and we'll answer them. It could be anything from what temperature you like to use to cook your brisket, or, hey, can I make this in an oven? You know, no question is a silly question. So we're going to have a great evening. You're going to learn a lot about Operation Barbecue Relief. We do many, many things, and we're really excited to share those with you. And most importantly, we want to be able to raise money so we can continue our mission. Now, I'm joined by Victor Lockwood. Victor Lockwood is one of our registered volunteers, but there's a great story with Vic. I met Vic at our first Camp OBR that we hosted in Lake of the Ozarks, and you're going to hear more about Camp OBR as well. Victor then joined us on a deployment. We've got a great little story about Vic, but I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Vic, he's going to be my sous chef as we start to make some dishes. So now tonight, I'm going to teach you how to make what's called Southwest brisket chili. Okay, everybody loves chili, especially when it's cold outside. Games are going on the weekend. People are coming over. This is an amazing chili recipe. I'm also going to show you how to make what's called trash can nachos. But as Zach would say, there's nothing trashy about these nachos. It's a very unique preparation, full of flavor. We're going to be smoking different proteins tonight. I'm going to walk you through that process. But first, to get started, you got to start with the meat. So, Victor, let's start with the brisket. Now, it sounds heavy, huh?
Well, it's a pretty good sized piece.
So, I got to tell you, in all my years of working in the kitchen and what I've learned with barbecue, and we've got some amazing pit masters on our brand, and I love learning from them. Brisket is probably one of the most intimidating pieces of meat to cook, right?
Well, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive, but then, brisket has a tendency of being very tough. So how you prepare it and get it ready for the smoker is critical. Now, you always hear fat equals flavor, but when it comes to brisket, too much fat is actually your enemy. Now, when you look at the brisket, you've got the point side and you've got the flat side. The flat side is lean, whereas the point side has a lot more marbling and fat. But you could cook this for 3 days, and all of this thick fat is never going to render down. So what I like to start with is trying to get kind of an even coat of fat around the brisket. So I'm looking for really big, thick areas of fat. Probably if it's more than an inch and a half, I'm going to start trimming it down. Now you got to look all around the brisket. Make sure you get all of that thick fat. I've got quite a bit here in front of me. And this is a critical step when you're cooking your brisket. Remember, the time you put into the prep of your brisket is going to pay on the back end with your finished product. So now I'm looking pretty good on the top portion. But now I've got to check the bottom of the brisket. Because like Victor said, this is a heavy brisket. There's quite a bit of fat. So when we flip it over, you're going to see we've got a lot going on here. Got a big kernel of fat here. That's going to have to go. I've got some more fat facing me over here. So I'm going to trim some of that off as well. Now, people ask me, wow, you're cutting a lot off of a very expensive piece of meat. Isn't there anything you could do with it? If you get creative, yeah, you can save some of this fat and trimmings and grind it and make chopped meat. Make the best burger you ever had.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to continue to take that big kernel of fat out. And I'm getting my brisket to look nice and even. Got a big piece of fat here. We're going to pull that off. Okay, and now we're ready to season. So you want to season the meat on all sides. Traditionally, salt and pepper is the go-to seasoning for a brisket. At Operation Barbecue Relief, we like to use salt, pepper, and garlic. The garlic adds a really interesting flavor when it's smoked.
Good
But-
on a steak too.
Excellent on a steak. Goes really well with meat. So I am going to make sure that I get all the areas. I'm going to rub it in with my hand. Right? I don't want to make sure it's all covered, because as this brisket cooks, it's going to pull in all of this seasoning and give us really great flavor. Okay, so I'm going to stand it on its side. Okay, and now we go to the top and we do the same thing. So now I'm going to put this in my commercial smoker behind me. I get the question a lot, what kind of wood do you use? Well, I mean, at Operation Barbecue Relief, we use a lot of wood. We smoke a lot of meat. So we like to use hickory. And I find the flavor of hickory imparts a really good smoke flavor on our meats. You're also going to hear a lot about different temperatures to smoke. Generally, we like to smoke our meats between 225 and 250. Now, a normal brisket, you know, depending on the size, could take anywhere from 10 to 12 hours to cook. We're looking for an internal temperature between 200, 202, 205 degrees. We cook it that high because that's when the fibers of the meat are going to break down and you're going to get a nice, tender, juicy piece of meat. So we're going to take this brisket and, Vic, let's pop this in the smoker.
All right.
Again, our smoker's set at 250 degrees, and there we go.
I'll get the other one. You're not ready for that?
Get that done. All right. So that's how we prep our brisket, and that's what we're going to use in the chili. Okay, now the next protein that we're going to use is a pork shoulder, commonly known as a pork butt. And this is going to be for our trash can nachos. Now, there's less trimming, so to speak, that's going to be done with this. But, you know, pulled pork is a barbecue staple, okay? A lot of what we do at Operation Barbecue Relief is centered around this protein. It's very near and dear to us. Now, there's a lot of different ways. There's really not a lot of trimming you're going to do on this pork. I'm using a bone-in pork butt. You can buy boneless. I prefer the bone-in. I find that it cooks better as the bone heats up. But what I do now, we want to talk about imparting flavor. So I'll take my knife and I'm just going to score the fat. I'm running some very lightly lines across the fat. I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this in a second. Then I'm going to turn it and run some more lines so I have like a little diamond pattern on top. Okay. Now, the reason I do that is I'm going to put my seasoning on this pork, and we're going to use a barbecue seasoning. We use our sweet and smoky rub. So if you have a favorite barbecue rub, by all means, use that. I'm going to start coating the pork butt the same way that I did the brisket. I'm going to rub this seasoning in. Now, by scoring the fat, that's going to pull as it smokes. So it's going to pull that seasoning into the meat. And again, you want to make sure all the sides of the pork is covered. Because
So, Johnny,
again, this is going to cook just as slow. Yes, sir.
I got a couple questions for you already.
All right.
I've got one from me that I'm going to jump in front of the line because I can, because I'm the host. How thick, like when you score, how deep down are you scoring?
So it's probably about a 16th of an inch. It's not, it's not a deep score that you're doing. You want to break that fat line. This way, like I said, as it smokes, it'll pull in that seasoning. So it's really not a deep score. Now, once this pork's cooked, you're going to see you can shred it. It's going to be very soft. Usually do pulled pork, chop it. So you won't even see, those score lines that you did.
Okay. Second question. What should those of us who don't have smokers do? Do we just buy smoked brisket from the local barbecue place? Is this something you could do in the oven?
So, I would say if you're going to do something like this similar in your oven, there is a method of getting a pan, buying some wood chips, and you can preheat your oven to about 200 degrees with this pan of chips. It's going to smoke up your house, right? You're basically turning your oven into a quasi smoker, and you'll let that smoke build up while your meat's in there. But then you got to pull those chips out and turn your oven on and cook it normally. Now, I will tell you, I've done this in the past. It doesn't have the same flavor as if you put it into a smoker. So what I would say is, you can do it on a barbecue grill as well. They sell chip boxes or smoke tubes where you would heat the left side of your grill and place your meat on the right side. And on the left side where you have your heat is where you put your chips. So you have an indirect heat with smoke. So that would be the best way for, that I would attack that. I'm going to pop this in the smoker right quick. Again, 250 degrees. This is going to take anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. 190-degree internal temperature is what we're looking for. And Zach, I know you got some more questions for me.
I do. 8 to 10 hours. Great. That should give us plenty of time to really go further along on that donation goal. So is everybody ready? We got I don't have anything going on the next 8-10 hours. So, no, I'm kidding. This is only going to be like an hour program. Stick with us. It's going to be great. Okay. This final question, for now, at least, I'm getting pressured to ask it. I'm really getting pressured to ask it. There's a lot of concern, Johnny, that do you need a stool or something to see above the island, something to get you high? It's coming from a Stan Heiss. Stan Heiss.
That would be Stan Hayes. And I have to say, I get this question a lot. My only response is good things come in small packages. I wasn't involved in the design of the kitchen. I thought it was a little high, but I will have to look it and see if I can find on Facebook Marketplace a little step stool perhaps that I could use.
There's a Robert that's really concerned you might hit your chin. So we're just safety first, OSHA approved kitchen here. That's what we're looking for.
Well, I want to thank everyone for their concern, but you know what? Let's throw caution to the wind, and we're just going to go in and we're going to start this. So we're going to get started with the brisket chili. So, Victor, let's take out our cooked brisket. And I know what you're saying. There's no way your smoker cooked this brisket so fast. I took the liberty of preparing a brisket earlier so that we could just kind of flow right through this. And as you can see, We've got a great dark color on this brisket. That's called bark on the outside. The smell on this brisket is insane. I mean, it's got great smell of smoke. Victor is cutting through that like it's butter. So what Victor's going to do is he's going to dice up some of that brisket, and then I'm going to start preparing the rest of the chili. So you want to get a sauce pot, and you're going to start with a little bit of oil. Now, there's a whole school of thought, beans or no beans in chili, right? It's one of life's, biggest question. I learned how to make this recipe for chili when I lived in Texas, hence the Southwest flavors you're going to see. And in Texas, you do not put beans in chili. Okay. Vic, you lived in Texas. You know this.
Yeah, I know that.
I think they actually arrest you if you put beans in your chili.
Sure, they sure won't like it.
So we're going to start with a little bit of minced garlic and some diced white onion. And we're going to add that to our oil as it's heating. To that, we're going to add some diced green pepper. And that's just a green bell pepper. And I'm going to add some small minced jalapeno. Okay, this is where you start to introduce some of those Southwest flavors that we were mentioning. And you want to let this cook until the onions become translucent, right? That's when they start to get a little opaque in color, so you can kind of see through it. And the reason you do that is when you get to that point, that's what extracts all the flavor out of the onion and the peppers.
You have no idea how badly I want to eat some of this.
So depending on which camera angle is on, you might be able to get away with that, and I won't tell anybody. We got plenty of brisket. So now I'm starting to smell the aroma of the garlic, the onions, those peppers. I'm smelling this brisket. I mean, it's coming together really nicely. And I know the folks working the camera are already smiling because they know what's for dinner. It's going to take a few minutes till we start again to get that translucent color on the onions.
Johnny, that enough? You want more?
Oh, that's plenty.
In this
Okay,
gap, real quick, I want to take a second and just remind everyone that this QR code that you're seeing on your screen, that will bring you directly to our co-tribute pages where you can donate. And why that's important is because Thrivent is covering 100% of the donation processing fees, which is really unique. Whenever you donate somewhere else, usually, there's a little bit of a percentage that has to go to processing fees. Well, not today, not on Thrivent's watch with Giving Tuesday. That's why this is such a unique opportunity. Since we've started this program, we have raised $1,100. Let's keep it going. And let's keep the generosity flowing.
Outstanding. So now if you can see, you'll start to see these onions are starting to get that translucent look. I'm getting a big aroma. I'm smelling those jalapenos. So now to this, we're going to start to add our meat. Now I have some pre-browned ground beef that I did a little earlier today. And I got rid of all the grease after I cooked it. I'm going to add that in. I have some peppered bacon. So what I did was I took some slices of bacon and I just put cracked black pepper on them, threw it in the oven. Now we're dicing it up and we're going to throw it in. And, people are like, well, why do you do that? Well, bacon makes everything taste better, right? I mean, so why not put it in the chili?
Dan Ford.
All right. Now the last meat, obviously, that amazing brisket that Vic just diced is going to go in as well.
Johnny, do you ever inject your pork butt?
So yes, injecting meat is something that you do a lot in the competition barbecue world. And I will tell you that, I've gone to a few competitions. I've never participated in a competition for one reason. It is so stressful. I mean, I've cooked for restaurant reviewers, New York Times. I've not had as much pressure as I've seen in the competition barbecue world. But yes, you inject your meat because you want to impart moisture, you want to impart flavor. When you're working, when you're doing competition barbecue, you're judged on that one bite, right? And you have to pack as much flavor into that one bite as possible. So now to this, we're going to add the rest of our seasonings. We've got our crushed tomato. I've got my chipotle peppers in adobo. Find a small can in the supermarket. This is going to give it, again, that nice little Southwest pop of flavor. I'm going to add some chicken base. I'm also going to add some brown sugar. Okay, so I got a little sweet and spicy going on. Add some smoked paprika, a little bit of ground cumin. Going to add a little bit of water. And then, last but not least, I'm going to add some lager beer. Now, this is very Southwest. Okay, so now this chili is going to simmer. You want to make sure you get enough beer in there so that you have a nice little liquid, because this is going to simmer and cook. And we're going to come back later and see what this looks like when it's done. And it's going to be phenomenal. Okay, so I'm going to check my heat. And we are going to let this just simmer away. Thank you, Vic. Now, Operation Barbecue Relief is a national nonprofit based in disaster relief, founded by kind-hearted Kansas City area pitmasters. The story of the founding of Operation Barbecue Relief is a much-loved and very uniquely American story. Right now, I'd like to turn it over to Stan Hayes, our co-founder and CEO, to talk about the very beginning of Operation Barbecue Relief and where he got the inspiration to start this amazing mission.
Operation Barbecue Relief, started out of just the need to want to give back and help the community of Joplin. The morning after the tornado, as I was getting ready for work, my wife was sitting there and she said, you should really get the barbecue guys together, that community that you're part of, and go down to Joplin and just cook for the community. 24 hours later, I'm on the ground in Joplin, Missouri. 48 hours later, we're firing up smokers and we're starting to cook for the community. People just started to come. I mean, we had volunteers from total 9 states, Missouri and 8 additional states come. I mean, we had a guy flew in from Pennsylvania. I watched a vehicle drive in the parking lot. It was day 2 or day 3. I can't remember which day it was. And I just remember going, my God, first that car's even rolling because it was just beat. I mean, tree branches, whatever, hit it, it dented all up. Cracked windshield, cracked glass all around. And I just remember as I started looking, you couldn't see anything in the vehicle except a little old lady and the car packed to the ceiling. And she got out of this car and this little old lady came walking over and she looks at, just sort of looking around, and I thought, well, I'll go see if she's okay. She needs something. And she goes, I heard I could get a meal here. Is there food here? I was like, absolutely. So I showed her where the line was. She got in line. And a little while later, I see her off to the side. She's got her little clamshell with her pulled pork sandwich and whatnot in it. And she's crying. So I sit there and I'm like, oh man, I hope we didn't do something wrong, or, I hope she, what made her upset. So I went over there and she's crying. She looks at me, she's like, I just need to know who to thank. Who came here for my community? Who do I thank? And whenever I'm having one of those down days, whenever you're on a disaster and it's not going the way you want it, or whenever you're out there, I think back to this little old lady who was just thankful that somebody came to the community. Somebody came and, showed the community love, that they weren't forgotten during this terrible time in their life. And I remember that. I remember her face. I remember, as she drove off later going, man, that was everything she probably could find on her lawn, in her house, piled into that car, because that's pretty much all she had left. And she thought enough to thank me for a pulled pork sandwich.
All right, so we've got our chili simmering nicely. Again, if you were in this kitchen and smell these flavors, that beer, the jalapeno, the cumin, the smoked brisket, all of those flavors are starting to come together. It's really, really amazing. So I'm gonna just let this go on a slow simmer. All right. And then next what we're gonna do is we're gonna start preparing the trash can nachos. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out from the smoker our cooked pork butt, and you're gonna see Victor is gonna start shredding this pork butt, right? That's gonna be the main star of this trash can nacho. Now, remember I smoked a bone-in pork butt, so the first thing we've got to do is actually remove the bone, right? So the bone comes in here on the side, and you just pull it right out. And what you're left with is your pulled pork. Now, Victor's going to use these bear claws, and Vic, here, you can set them up. You look like a big teddy bear. And he's just going to get in there and start shredding this pork. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You just get in there and kind of shred it, and you're keeping the fat in there. Remember, fat equals flavor, especially with a pork butt. And you just keep at it, nice and slow. Slow and steady wins the race. And you're just going to shred this pork butt. So why do we call it trash can nachos? So you're going to see I've got a number 10 can, and a number 10 can is an industrial term, but you've seen these in your supermarket. It's usually a big can of beans. Sometimes you might find okra in your supermarket. I went and bought a can of beans, and what I did was I cut the top of the can off, I cut the bottom of the can off, and basically I'm going to use this as my mold, or my trash can, if you will. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna build layers of all of these goodies that we're gonna put in with the tortillas, the great pulled pork that Vic's doing. We've got our shredded cheese, fresh diced tomatoes, and I've got sliced jalapenos here. So all of these components are going into your chili, into your nachos. Now, you could say, hey, you know what, John, I like to put chicken on my nachos. Yeah, absolutely you could put chicken. This doesn't always have to be done with just pork. Let's say you like to use taco meat. You can do it with taco meat as well. Whichever protein you like, or let's say you don't even like a protein. I'm sorry, but I can't imagine why anybody would do that. But, you can do it with just cheese and jalapenos. Call Zach, he'll come to your house for that.
Well, John, I'm
Yes, sir.
glad you mentioned the can, because I want to do something for the multitudes who are like me and popular already. I thought I was ready to go with the trash can nachos.
So you definitely misunderstood the intent of this dish, but I applaud your effort and your exuberance. But that's not the kind of trash can nachos we're making today.
You just saved my dish.
Yes, no, and I mean just a word to the wise: throw the garbage out of your trash can at least once a day.
Oh, once a day. That's a lot. Hey, speaking of words to the wise, what about words to the novice? What's your best tip for a first-time barbecuer? And are they called barbecuers? What do you call what is it?
I think anybody that goes and cooks on an open flame, a smoker, is a barbecuer. What I would say for the first time barbecuers, practice makes perfect. You're never going to get it right 100% of the time. You just have to keep drilling at it and drilling at it and drilling at it. I hate to say it, but you got to eat a lot, right? You got to smoke a lot. You got to eat a lot. You got to check, recheck, keep looking to make that perfect rack of ribs, that perfect brisket, that perfect pork butt, that perfect chili. It all is just, and it starts as a labor of love. Look, barbecue is all about family, community, right? Great days around the barbecue. That's what Stan and the co-founder saw was, that beacon of hope, that smoke that they talk about brings people together. You smell a barbecue and you think of great times in your backyard with friends and family. And, it gives you a little glimmer into the hope that can come. And we're going to talk more about that. So, Vic, I think we've got enough pork there. I know you didn't get your workout in today, but you did here. So we're going to start by layering a bunch of different items, right? So I'm using yellow corn tortilla chips. And what I'm going to do, the most important thing is make sure you put enough chips down so that you cover the entire bottom of the can. And I know this is where Stan is like, I tell you, Johnny, if you had that step stool, this would be a lot easier. And I hear him laughing in my microphone. So we're going to start. And look, I get the question, hey, I don't like corn. Can I use flour? Absolutely. But you got to know that the flour tortilla chips are a little more fragile, so you may get some breakage. But I prefer corn. So now, the next thing you're going to do after you put in your tortillas, cheese is the key for this dish. You can never put enough cheese. The cheese is what's going to hold this dish together. As the trash can nachos cook, that cheese is going to melt and all of that stuff's going to get fused together. So I'm going to put a little cheese in there. And now, Vic, time to put some pulled pork. And I got to tell you, this pulled pork smells amazing. I don't know if I like the pork or the brisket better.
Well, I can tell you that our minor league team in Huntsville, Alabama is called the Trash Pandas. And this is a perfect thing to cook there.
Uh-oh. I know what Vic's doing next weekend. So I've added a little bit of diced fresh tomatoes. I'm going to put a little bit of jalapenos. And look, you may say, I don't like spice. Do I have to put jalapeno? No, you don't have to. I choose to, again, because I'm used to nachos being a little spicy. So now we're up to our next layer, which is the tortillas again. So I'm going to do the same thing I did. I'm just going to lay in all of my tortillas. And you want to push them down very gently, not to break them, but you want to push them down inside the can. Okay, and now we're going to go same layer, cheese. Then we're going to go in with the pork. All right, Vic. Just a nice coating around. All right. right, and then a little bit. That piece makes all the difference.
Oh, I
You
know it
that.
does.
Diced tomato, a little bit of jalapeno.
You know, Johnny, a little known fact is my nickname is the Segway King. You may not have known that, but you mentioned earlier for advice to new barbecuers, practice, practice, practice. In order to do that, you probably need recipes. Are these recipes found anywhere? Is there a cookbook anywhere that we can find this?
Absolutely. In fact, our latest cookbook, Grilling with Golick and Hayes, both of these dishes are actually in that cookbook. You can go on obr.org, go to the store, and we sell it on the store. It's also for sale on Amazon as well. It contains amazing recipes from a lot of great pitmasters, sports personalities, and just famous chefs that Stan is friends with, that contributed amazing recipes. You'll find Jet Tila gave us a recipe. Guy Fieri has given us recipes. It's a phenomenal read. Great recipes in there. All right, now we are up to cheese. And honestly, Zach, when you said you had a nickname, I thought your nickname was Nacho, but I'm glad you went with Segway.
We may be up to cheese, but we're up to $64,610 donated. I like that one. That was a good one.
That's a lot of cheese.
Oh my gosh.
Pork.
How's my camera focus? Am I back?
You're back.
Is it
You
still
are
up?
back.
All right. All right.
All right. A little bit of tomato. Now we're getting to the top. This is a bit of a tedious process, but it's worth the wait. All right. Now we're going
Vic,
back.
you're developing a bit of a fan club here in the chat, just so you know. A, are you related to Andy Reid? And B, is this your first time sous chefing? Because you're a natural.
So you want to take that first question? Are you any relation to Andy Reid?
Never, don't even know who he is.
Okay. Well, he's a very influential coach.
Oh,
We just,
And I'll
we just lost half the viewers. We just lost half the viewers. We got to get them back.
and I don't know. When I went to the deployment in Florida, that's actually what they were teaching me to do, was be a sous chef.
Well, and you know, Vic originally came to the deployment. When I met him at the camp, he said, "I want to get more involved. How do I do that?" And I said, "Well, you know, that's great, Vic. What do you do by trade? What was your trade?" And he says, "Well, you know, I fix stuff." And I said, "Well, that's great, Vic, because I break stuff, and we break a lot of stuff on a deployment." Vic showed up. The first day he was there, I think he fixed like 6 pieces of equipment for me. And then he said, "Okay, what else do you need?" And I'm like, "Hey, you want to help me cook?" And it was a match made in heaven. And now you're a movie star, Vic.
Yeah.
All right. So now your last layer is going to be just chips and cheese. So we're done with the pork.
Okay.
And again, remember that cheese is what brings this thing home. So I'm going to get a few more chips up here. And then I am just going to cover this whole thing with cheese. Now, if you mound it over the can, absolutely. Now, you could find smaller cans in your supermarket if you don't want to go through and make such a big one. But I got to tell you, you're going to love the drama statement that this dish makes when we're going to go finish it. Now, you would take this, put it in your smoker, put it on your grill. You want to heat this thing through, get all that cheese melted. I'm going to place it in my oven. So this is definitely something you could do in your oven at home. Let's say if you bought, pulled pork from a local barbecue restaurant, or your neighbor smoked the pork and you made the nachos. You know, I think either way it'll work. So let me pop this in the oven.
All right. As you're popping that in the oven, I want to go into kind of a rapid fire Q&A session. So if you've been sitting on a question, go ahead and put it into the chat. We've got some loaded for you here too. To get things started, Johnny, the question that I know Cody is burning to ask, give us like your best kitchen disaster story, just cooking disaster story.
Okay. So this is actually I'm going to say there's been so many of them. There was I was working at a restaurant in New York City. It was a French restaurant, and we were getting reviewed by the New York Times. And the reviewer for the New York Times at the time, her name was Ruth Reichel, would come in costume. And, you didn't really know whether or not, you never really knew if she was in your restaurant or not, unless you really knew what she looked like in her costumes. Well, Ruth Reichel walked into the restaurant. No one noticed she was there. She ate 2 courses, and no one had any clue. And when the chef found out, I was the sous chef. When the chef found out, he got so excited and freaked out that he ran out of the restaurant and left. And I had to stay and finish this entire dish knowing that she was going to review our restaurant. And we did fairly well. We got 2 stars in the New York Times, which is still good. But it was, it was one of those, here, hold my beer, and took off. So that, no one ever wants to get put under that kind of pressure. Now, I considered that a nightmare. I do have another one. You'll notice in most kitchens, there is an Ansel system. Now, what that is a fire suppression system. In case of a fire, a chemical comes out and it extinguishes the fire. It's basically made for the safety of the kitchen. Busiest breakfast shift ever in the world is New Year's Day. Breakfast lasts like 12 hours because everybody sleeps late. And I was working in a hotel at Times Square in New York City, and one of the cooks was heating up clarified butter. It completely spilt over. Big flame ensued. Ansel system comes down and basically shuts down the entire kitchen. And I've got 600 breakfast orders that I'm working on at the moment. And I called the main kitchen, the executive chef, and I'm like, guys, I'm in trouble. I need to cook. And I literally had to run to a different restaurant on another floor, make breakfast, and then bring it to room service and run it up. I thought that shift was never going to end. And, you might, if you ever catch me rocking in the corner, I'm remembering that shift. That was one of the worst days of my life.
That's amazing. I'm just gonna leave this this live show, and you're gonna have to finish the rest.
I see what you're doing.
Hey, we got a great question, and shout out to Heather Williams for bringing this up. This question comes from our Facebook live stream. I forgot to mention, we're also streaming this out to our Facebook pages, so you can rewatch this if you're enjoying the show. Why do you use the can for nachos?
So the metal can heat up. You're going to have, the oven is set at probably about 375 degrees. Metal's a great conductor of heat. So I use a metal can because I don't have to worry about it melting. It keeps a really nice shape to the nachos, and you'll see it when I unmold it. It's just a very versatile mold to use for this. And what's great is you can wash the can, be very careful because it could be sharp, but you can reuse the can, right? Pop it in your dishwasher and then put it in your pantry closet and pull it out every time you want to make trash can nachos. So that's why I like to use the metal can. But good question.
Love it. Most famous person you've cooked for?
Ooh, let's see. I would have to say Ronald Reagan. Now, I know you're saying, how old are you, John? When my dad was a chef, he actually prepared food for Ronald Reagan's inauguration in Washington, D.C. And I was a young, little strapping sous chef, much like Vic. And he took me with him to D.C. to help prepare for, one of the gala functions for Ronald Reagan. So I'd have to say by far that was one of the more famous people I've cooked for.
I would not have guessed you were about to say Ronald Reagan. Hey, not that we care. No one cares. And there's no judgment. How much calories are we looking at here, Johnny?
How many calories in our nachos and our chili? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
7.
Vic says 7. I'm going to say it's a little more north of that. I'd say we're probably now. Again, it's all portion size, right? So if you had a tablespoon of the chili, I think you'd be okay to say you're probably at about 60 calories with a tablespoon. Now, if you're going to have a bowl, you're probably pushing close to 700 or 800. And the nachos, well, that's too high for me to guess.
The better it tastes, the more calories. I don't know. There's something in there.
Generally how it is. You know that.
Yeah. This is Giving Tuesday, not Calorie Counting Tuesday.
That's Wednesday.
That's Wednesday.
I would have thought that the nachos were a 0 because the can's round. It looks like a 0.
Vic,
I like
you're
the
great.
thought,
You're
Vic.
gonna make a great chef.
I like your thought.
Okay, what's your favorite dish, Chef John? Well, you know what? No, I've heard enough of Chef Johnny. Vic, what's your favorite dish?
Pretty much any kind of seafood.
Okay. What have you had any seafood from Chef Johnny that's your favorite?
No, I missed when we were up at the camp. The seafood was the day after I left.
After you left.
And
We did
and
a-
I was really
You were
disappointed
bummed.
because there was he kept showing me all the stuff he was going to cook, and I was like,
We did
man.
a classic Louisiana seafood boil, and we had 2 6-foot tables. I don't mean to make you hungry, but we had shrimp and we had corn and potatoes and langoustines and mud bugs. I mean, it was a sight, Vic.
I
I'm
tried to
sorry.
talk him out of some of those cherry stones. He wouldn't let me have any.
So, well,
Okay, Chef Johnny, what's a 2-part question here? What's your favorite dish? What's your favorite dish to prepare? Are they the same?
so yes, they are the same. I think I like to prepare. Let me ask my favorite dish first. My favorite dish is whatever you want to eat, right? And
Seafood diet, Vic.
well, it's as a chef, it brings you joy to feed people.
No, whatever
that's
you see.
what we do.
Whatever
So
you
whatever
see.
someone wants is what I love to cook. And then what do I love? My favorite dish is the dish I can make for you, right? So when we feed someone and they smile, you get a feeling that's unlike any other. And I think that's the transition, in coming to Operation Barbecue Relief from a restaurant background. The core purpose is the same. You're feeding people that are hungry, or you're feeding people in need. When you give a plate of barbecue, like Stan was saying in the video, when you give a plate of barbecue to someone who is in need and is hungry, there are no words that they can say thank you. And you don't need a thank you. It's all in their eyes. And we're fortunate enough to see that every time we go out and do deployments. It's an amazing feeling. That's why we always ask people to, you can donate, you can volunteer. It's an amazing opportunity and life-changing, I would even say. I mean,
Absolutely.
Victor's going to talk about that, and you'll hear more about that. It's really an amazing experience being able to give back to people.
Oh man, that's a great answer. And you're kind of coming for my Segway King title there, Johnny. I see what you're doing. But that being said, tell us more about that experience in Operation Barbecue. What goes into a successful deployment, as you call it? What is a deployment? Just walk us through that and how you change people's lives and what it all takes to do that. Take us through that whole scenario.
So, I mean, it's a great question. So a deployment is whenever we go out and feed in time of need after a disaster. It could be a flood, hurricane, earthquake, fire, any natural disaster that is catastrophic to displace people, we'll go out and we'll cook. So there's so many facets to a deployment. You have the food product, you have logistics of moving things around, you have fuel that has to be accounted for. When we go in, we set up a base camp. We set up a huge kitchen that we cook for all of these people in need. We have built a storeroom. We have communication centers. We basically build a kitchen just to cook for our volunteers. We have housing for our volunteers, shower houses, laundry trailers. Every convenience you would think of, we supply on these deployments. And the logistics and pulling all those pieces together, it takes a village. There's so many components. I mean, Vic, you had said, there's so many things that have to get done to serve that one meal.
Yeah, just to get things going. I mean, before you even make the first bit of cooking get done, I mean, when I went down there, I was like, this is insane. Yeah.
But it's a great insanity. It's a great insanity.
Oh, heck no, I can't wait. I mean, I hate the reason why we have to do it, but I can't wait to do another one.
Exactly. It's donations make it possible for us to do this. It allows us to continue our mission and do that. I want to give a shout out to ThermoWorks for their continual and consistent support of Operation Barbecue Relief and everything that they've done for the brand. But I have to say, if it wasn't for our over 18,000 enthusiastic, incredible volunteers, we could not do what we do. I mean, we have an army of volunteers that travel across country by plane, some drive, to come to a site to work long hours in really hot temperatures just so that we can prepare food to give to people in need. It is amazing. And as people will often say, it's the hardest job I ever loved, right? I mean, you work so hard, but you feel so good about what you do. And, again, I mean, it's an amazing experience, which is a great segue, because we've got a video about Vic, because Vic is a very special person to us. Like I had mentioned, I met him at Camp OBR. The video we're going to show you kind of goes a little more deeper into how Vic came to the camp, why he came to the camp, then what he did after the camp, and then, brought you here tonight. So thank you, Vic.
Thanks, Johnny.
You know Operation Barbecue Relief best as an army of pitmasters working round the clock to provide the healing power of barbecue after disasters. Not just feeding the bodies, but nourishing the souls of those impacted by tornadoes, wildfires, floods, and hurricanes. We also believe in serving those who serve us. Through the Always Serving Project and Camp OBR, Operation Barbecue Relief serves our heroes in uniform and their families every day. Nestled on 190 tranquil acres on Missouri's Lake of the Ozarks, you'll find Camp OBR a healing place, built to serve our military, veterans, families of the fallen, first responders, and their families. In July 2023, Camp OBR held their first retreat for survivors of military loss. Victor Lockwood, father to Katie Jo, was one of those survivors.
And there's a lot of people here that have been through similar things. No parent should ever bury a child. Be that as it may, it happens, and I mean, when your child goes off in the military, sometimes you don't get them back.
At Camp OBR, Vic found healing through camaraderie and connection with other survivors completing service projects in honor of Katie Jo, and through culinary therapy with our renowned pitmasters.
It feels like it helped my soul. I was angry for a long time. This feels like it's helped.
Vic has become an Operation Barbecue Relief Legacy volunteer, continuing Katie Joe's legacy of service. His first deployment was to Live Oak, Florida after Hurricane Idalia just weeks after camp, where he honored Katie Joe with every meal he helped prepare.
You know, when you help other people, you make them feel better, but you make yourself feel better. Yeah. You feel better about yourself, you feel better about life in general.
So Vic, I mean, I've seen that video now 3 times today, and I have to say, I have to catch my breath every time I watch it.
Well, don't feel like the Lone Ranger.
Agreed. You know, it speaks a lot to what we here at Operation Barbecue Relief aim to do: help those in need, build community, help families and fallen, first responders, military veterans.
There's a lot of different kinds of needs. You know, I mean, my house didn't get wiped out, but I still had a need.
Mhm.
And there's not a lot of people that, or organizations that pay any attention to some of those needs. And, you know, you guys made a huge difference in my life.
Well, and I'm glad that we could, Vic.
And
thank you for changing our lives just by you being involved with Operation Barbecue Relief. I can't tell you how excited we are. But what else I can't tell you I'm excited about is this chili. Now, I've been smelling it and stirring it. Vic, I want you to give it a taste. Tell me what you think.
Man, Johnny, you're stepping on my toes there with a segue.
Sorry. You know, I'm usually up on my toes because I'm so short.
we're just going to have to throw that away.
Oh, thank you so much, Vic.
Now let's see if Johnny blames that on the bear clawing. The bear clawing was done.
No.
Right?
It's definitely the height of it. It's definitely the height of the counter.
Maybe we should have used a different bin. You know, I don't know.
Vic was kidding. But you know, Vic touched on a very interesting point that I wanted to share with everyone. I know some of you maybe have seen this in the beginning of the session. We were rolling some different videos. We talk a lot in Operation Barbecue Relief about our why. You know, why do we do what we do? You know, everyone has a different reason why we do what we do. Even though the reasons may be slightly different, the core and the purpose is the same. And I have to say that there's one video that we play very frequently. It's called our brand anthem. And I think it captures the essence of what OBR is and why we do what we do. But everyone in the brand feels so strongly and passionate. And I can tell you, I watch this video routinely at least once a month. I've watched the video, and when it's done, I say, I know why I do what I do. So I want to share it with you now real quick, just in case anybody missed it before the show started.
People have asked us why we barbecue. Why go to all that trouble? Why spend hours tending to a pile of coals while the smoke burns your eyes and singes your skin? All that prepping, seasoning, stoking, saucing, not sleeping, just praying that it turns out okay. Why put your heart and soul into one meal only to hand it over to a total stranger? At Operation Barbecue Relief, we believe a great barbecue meal can do more than win a few blue ribbons. It can connect, inspire, educate, serve, and feed those in need. That's why we barbecue.
Incredible.
Very
I'm
powerful.
going to take
Very powerful.
just a second for the echo, which actually leads me to a great segue of we got to take a second and shout out Jeremy Bruce, the man behind the scenes making this happen. Jeremy, you are incredible. Production doesn't get honored enough, and you made tonight happen. Thank you for all your work, all the technical in and outs as we transition. You are a pro, and I believe, Johnny, there's a team of volunteers there running cameras for you as well.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Our virtual volunteer, our virtual video team is here. They assist me with doing a lot of these virtual events where we will teach barbecue virtually to veterans, Gold Star moms, and their kids. And they're very passionate about what we do and wanted to give back. And I had said, hey, you guys want to help me do this video team? And they said, anything we can do to help. And, you know, we can't thank them enough for what they do because they make us look good.
Incredible.
I think that's the best way to put it.
Incredible. So awesome. You know, guys, I want to point you back to the Contribute page. One of the cool features of it is you can scroll through, and as people donate, they can write messages. Sometimes just reading these messages is just life-giving enough. We're at $65,545 raised. It is incredible. I'm going to go ahead and give $20 right now. Who will do it with me? I'd like to think too that as I give that $20, I am creating an opportunity for more Vics, for more stories like that. And that, what an awesome opportunity we have together. And as we do that too, here's a couple of the cool things I like reading, Johnny, of people that are donating that have been out on deployments with you. Here's one. I'm a registered Operation Barbecue volunteer and a KCBS master judge. Your organization is one of the better ones I give to. Thank you, Michael. What an amazing organization. I've seen firsthand what they do and who they are. Thank you, Kim. Tiffany has been watching you serve people since the disasters at Joplin. Thank you, Tiffany. That's a long time. That's an OG Operation Barbecue person, most likely. So
Yep.
as you make those donations, go see who else you're joining along, leaving a legacy of generosity.
Well put, Zach. Well put. And again, I think thank you to everyone that contributes and donates so that we can continue to make a difference in our mission and helping feed that need. So you can see I've finished plating the Southwest brisket chili, just placed in a bowl. We garnished it with a little bit of corn tortillas and a little bit of green onion. And now it's time for us to finish the trash can nachos. And this is where it's going to get really exciting. Vic, would you do the honors?
I need to put gloves on over top of these, or
Yes, please.
okay.
Well, no, just to pull it out.
Yeah, because I'm
that's
just going to grab the pan.
Yeah. Just be careful. It's going to be very hot.
Yeah, that's why I put the gloves on. Oh,
There you go.
And for those wondering, just did it. That's how easy it was to donate just in that short time. Super awesome interface to work with here. Big shout out to Thrivent. Not myself, Thrivent, the company.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this very long knife. I'm going to insert it inside this can, and I'm going to just go around kind of loosening up those nachos. Yeah, you could hear Vic's grin. He was like, okay, well, we're going to have to get rid of this one too, right? I know.
well, you know, just trying to help.
All right. And now, since this is hot, it's time for the big reveal. So now you're going to very carefully lift up and, oh, it's very hot. Sorry, I'm going to have to put a little more protection on.
Yeah, don't want you to get burned, Johnny. Hey, because it's hot, that means it was cooking. How long did it cook for? Segue face.
So this took, I think it was roughly about 20 minutes. 15 to 20 minutes. What we're looking for is, again, that nice, melty, and you can see all the layers of all those cool products that we put in there. But you know what? We're not done yet. Okay. We've got one more little addition
The trash.
for these nachos. And what would be nachos if we didn't smother it with some queso? Okay, now you think about inviting your friends over and you put this out on your table. I'm sorry, but it doesn't get any better than this. Put a few green onions on top, and there you have it. Trash can nachos. All right.
You know,
So,
you
what do
mentioned
you-
earlier you weren't sure how anyone could not put protein. I could just douse it with queso and be good. I mean,
and be done. Okay.
I guess that if you want to get into an argument of is cheese protein and whatever, but yeah, that looks incredible.
You ought to smell it.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm a sucker for loaded nachos.
Great question just came in. How do you eat those? Let's see this.
I'm sorry, Zach. What was that?
I said a great question just came in. How do you eat those?
So really what you want to do is you'll start with whatever chip that you can see right here, and you're just going to lift it up. Just like that.
Jeremy, do we have slow-mo cam? Do we have slow-mo cam we can go back to?
So now, Vic, you're going to have to find one too. That looks like a good one right there.
Let me get a glove.
And little by little, you just chip away at it and you just dig in and enjoy it. The flavor is insane on that dish. I'm sorry.
I think I can speak for everyone here. This is the worst part of this whole thing. This is the worst part of the show. This is torture.
Because you're there and this is here. I know what you're saying. I know what
Oh
you're
my
saying.
gosh. You know, our time is coming to an end together. We're coming up on 75 minutes or so of the show, and we want to be respectful of everybody's time and also make sure it's a great watch back. So as we wrap up and as we close out, Johnny, tell us about how do I get involved with you? How do I join your barbecue army? How do I get on deployment? What does that look like?
So I think, first you start off by, sharing our story, following us on social media, at OPBBQ Relief. Visit obr.org. You can sign up there to receive our emails, which will keep you current on everything that we're doing. You can also download the OBR volunteer app. What's great about this app is you sign up and it will notify you within a proximity and area of where you live, whether or not we are going to serve in a disaster in that area, if we have an event in that area that we're, say, supporting Veterans Day. So the lines of communication, and what's great is you'll get a notification. It'll pop up and say, we have the following deployment. Would you like to deploy? And it's a simple yes, no. You don't have to deploy all the time. And I think what's most important is you don't have to have a lot of experience. I mean, right, Vic? How much cooking did you do before you came up to Hurricane Idalia?
I mean, I could feed myself, but no, as far as cooking for a ton of other people like that, no, there's no way. But
And by a ton, it was roughly about 150 people,
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks.
what I do want to tell you about the app is that if you're interested, like when a day you can come ashore. I live in North Alabama. That's a pretty good ride. But you can look and see if there's something going on, like they would consider too far away for you to go. It'll tell you, not only will it tell you that they're being deployed, but it'll also tell you how far it is. So you can make a decision, like I decided I was going to drive to Florida. Okay, got in the car and started driving, after I'd gotten approved to go. But, you don't have to just go to the ones that are near you.
True. We provide means of transportation throughout the country when we get large scale disasters. So really it's, it's all about it's all about wanting to give. You don't need to know how to be a barbecue pitmaster, smoker genius. We teach everyone what they need to do the job on hand. And everyone has a skill set. And that skill set can be great on a deployment, from interacting with people, interacting with the people we're serving, right? I mean, Vic,
Well, I mean, when you all right, so I worked in the camp kitchen, okay? But, there's all these other jobs that have to be done. There's got to be somebody to load the cookers, got to be somebody to unload the cookers. There's got to be somebody to help clean them. There's got to be somebody to put wood in them to keep them smoking. And then there's all the sides that got to be made. So you don't really have to know how to cook at all. I mean, there's just so many different parts. It's like the guy that builds a car. Does he know how to put the whole car together? Oh, absolutely not. But he knows how to put that tire on.
and do it real well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you don't know how to, if you can't think of that, I don't know how to cook like that. You don't have to.
But you know what? We'll teach you.
There's so many parts to it.
Agreed. So, I think with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. And again, I want a special shout out thanks to ThermoWorks, again, for their continued support, this lovely test kitchen, and everything that they've done for Operation Barbecue Relief over the years. Zach, I want to say thank you to the Thrivent team. You guys have been beyond amazing, and it was an amazing opportunity for us to get our message out, share a little bit about what Operation Barbecue Relief does, cook some food, have some friends over, so thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Well said, guys. And we love you guys. We believe in what you're doing. We set it up top. That's why we partnered. And I'm encouraged because Giving Tuesday is so unique and amazing, but you just gave us steps to make sure that Giving Tuesday lives on past just today. And so you can continue to donate through midnight today, to that co-tribute page where all your donations will be, they won't have any processing fees if they come through that page. So it's open through midnight all day all day today on Giving Tuesday. But let's make it last longer than just Tuesday. We can get involved. We can volunteer with Operation Barbecue. You can go to their store and buy their cookbook. What an amazing cause. What an amazing group of people. Couldn't be happier to partner together. And hey, Thrivent, for over a century, has been helping people build their financial futures and live more generous lives. And you experienced that today firsthand. And I think it was Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And it made me think of this. This is just one of many things that Thrivent does. Makes us so unique as a Fortune 500 company. And a financial company too, that we do a lot of things like this. So if you want to be involved with Operation Barbecue or just be involved with more free events that we're putting on here at Thrivent, check out our events page. There'll be links all over on social medias as you watch this back. And we'd love to see you at our next event as well. But until then, thank you for your support. What an amazing job. I'm going to refresh this page one more time as we sign off to give us our final count. We crushed our $60,000 goal, and we're at $65,565. Now, let me remind you, that's just online. There's still checks in hands to be counted. So what an amazing day. What an amazing turnout and outcome. And can't wait to see what all comes from it. We hope you guys have a wonderful night, and we hope to see you soon. We'll see you. Bye.